himself to get candidates so he can tell why he
It's
wants to be
very,
a board
I'm
member.
so sorry, it says the
Yeah,
board,
he can
the
nominate
board
himself.
cannot, so you
Yeah.
nominate, so.
But how do we know if we're gonna nominate him if we don't know what his intention is?
Oh, I see, I'm
He
so
can
sorry, I
nominate
thought you were
himself.
nominating first.
But-
No.
No, the board has to nominate.
Right, so we're gonna hear each candidate, and then if somebody nominates him, then we'll go ahead and take a vote.
Okay. That's right.
I thought we could self-nominate too. He could nominate himself. He
As a
doesn't-
stakeholder, you can.
Not a stakeholder.
Out of order, can the president run the meeting, please?
Go ahead, Mr. Johnson, please.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Scott Johnson. I served on the previous two incarnations of this neighborhood council. Most of you know, a lot of you know who I am, but there's some people here, I see new faces here tonight, and likewise, I'd like to present my background. I grew up in this community. I went to El Sereno Middle School, and I also worked at Wilson High School with Mr. Stan Contasi, who was the last city championship football coach at Wilson High School with the Environmental Science Academy. This is the Environmental Science Academy, working with President Bush about 5 years ago, during his last term. So we were part of working with the kids and getting summer intern projects. I also was one of the people on the pilot program for capacity growth of nonprofits. There were 5 of us who graduated from the course, including Tammy Membrano and myself. The certificate here is signed by Mr. Weezer in 2004. I also served as a union steward for SEIU 347. This is my certificate of leadership when we got our first contract in the City of Commerce.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
Just a couple more real quick.
That's
At
all.
the time-
That's it.
And then a certificate, and then another certificate signed by Councilman Weezer.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Mr. Johnson. Board? No, I mean, is there somebody from the board to nominate him if you want to nominate him?
Okay, I'm gonna make a comment really quick. I'm not gonna exclude anyone. I think anyone who's engaging the community to try to be part of the board should be part of it. So I'm not gonna exclude anyone, so I'm sorry, I am going to nominate Mr. Johnson, whether it goes to the board or not. I
You
think-
live to regret it.
What are you sorry for? You can
Oh,
nominate him.
boo.
Good.
Come on. He's been nominated, that's it.
Not a stakeholder.
You know, I tell you, that is so out of order.
I apologize to Mr. Johnson.
It's done, man. Get him out of your mouth
And I apologize to
already.
everyone here, including you.
Sorry, Angela.
Yeah, Angela, I'm sorry too, I didn't,
Angela's nominating Mr.
you nominated Mr. Johnson. Yeah, but you don't have to apologize for your nomination.
No, I'm not apologizing. I don't think anybody should be excluded. Anyone who's willing and willing to be here and be an active member.
Okay, so we have Scott Johnson for
No, we're on, no,
I have a question of stakeholder.
I just have a question. In the geographical areas from what's north, east, and
Yes.
south,
Yes.
can you kind of explain that when you
Sure.
say that? You know, because I'm like, in the dark.
So you're in South, just to let you know. You're in University
Oh,
Health.
yeah.
Here's a map.
No, that's all.
Take a look at it.
Oh, you just want to know for
I just
yourself?
want to know for myself.
You're in
I thought
South.
it would be kind of nice if you could
It's
say what
outlined.
Just kind of overall.
It's outlined here.
Okay, this one's easier.
Maybe you can see that.
And then return it back.
I can't see it.
Okay, so we first have to consider Scott Johnson as our candidate for director for North Region. Are we ready to vote?
No, we have a say so in the matter,
Do you
so
guys want-
I have a say so.
Well, you have a vote.
Yeah, but that's after, he has the right to say what he wants to say, and we all have each individual right to say if we approve or don't approve or whatever. Okay?
I don't
No,
think
I have a right.
Do we have to have a work session? I mean,
We can.
There's no motion, there's no motion.
Doesn't need a motion, this is the,
Okay,
You don't, do you want to allow for more discussion?
no, we don't
That's
have
up to the board. If you guys want to allow for more discussion, then allow for more discussion. If you don't, in the interest of time, then take the vote.
I'm
because if she has the right to nominate everybody, fine, I respect that, but we also should have a right to say
Well,
something.
you have a vote.
Well, then we have to have public comment as well then, Marlene.
I know, that's what I'm trying to avoid, because
public comment, you should be able, the board should be able to make a comment. Well, it wasn't public comment, so we can discuss it.
Marlene?
Yes.
So the board needs to ratify these nominations, and so in order to ratify them, we need a motion in order to ratify it. So in that motion, we need to have a discussion.
Yeah, because that comes right after the motion, if the motion is approved second, but there's any nomination.
But all nominations.
They need to be ratified by the board in order for them to be recognized.
So there it is, I'll have something to say.
No,
I'm nominated for.
yeah, but that's.
You guys are taking a vote.
No,
It's an action item right
Take
there.
one at a time, and ratify.
Ratified is just voted on. It doesn't say that it's a motion.
The board shall vote and approve all nominations. So in order to vote, we need a motion in order to vote. Somebody needs to make a motion that you want to approve.
We didn't make motions when we got.
I know, but that's just, we can only nominate so far.
Thank
In order to approve that nomination, we need to
We
vote.
need to take a vote on it, it needs to be ratified by the board, and in order to take a vote, you have to make a motion. You can't just vote freely.
I move the motion. What was the motion?
Second.
Okay, perfect.
Should they all be done at
Perfect.
once? No.
Well, here's the.
Hold on, you guys, I'm sorry.
So I'm sorry, this is,
Yes.
so what this board is tasked with, according to what I'm reading, is that not only do you all have to approve the nomination, you have to approve the person to the vacancy.
Yeah, but that comes after the ratification that he's talking about. The vote is the last.
So you're saying we have to
Process of
vote
law.
on the nomination and then vote on
The board, D, board approval, the board shall vote and approve all nominations to fill vacancies by a simple majority vote.
Right, he's been nominated, so.
nominated?
Okay, so you're, okay. It does, no, I think, no, you can do it one by one because it's less confusing, but just know that it might be a little more time consuming if you guys want to do a motion on it to ratify.
Well, we're not gonna do one by one, if there's groups, then we'll do all of them, but for him, we have to vote first to be considered. Yes, so we have to vote on him first, and if he gets on, then vote's done, if he doesn't, then we go down to C.
Yes.
But the question is, they're saying a motion.
That ratification of it. Ratify it.
As far as I know, Robert's Rules of Order, you can't just randomly take a vote. You need to make a motion in order to take a vote. A vote doesn't just happen and it just doesn't come out of thin air. There needs to be a motion made in order for you to make a vote. So I've never heard of that, and
And if there's no motion, it dies.
It's new business to me in that case.
Okay, so we're just gonna go ahead and follow this process. It's gonna be a little bit lengthy, but,
Yeah.
um,
As far as.
we had a nomination, so I guess we need a motion to approve the nomination?
And if nobody makes a
Well, yeah,
motion,
if
it
someone
dies.
disagrees with the nomination or they want to speak in favor or against.
Okay, this is what I'm gonna ask then. If you're gonna nominate, do it in the form of a motion, and then if you get a second, you get a second. If you don't, then
It dies.
we need to move on.
That's not.
So Angela, please go ahead and reword.
Sure, I'll make a motion to nominate Mr. Scott Johnson for South Region. I'm sorry, North Region.
And if no one seconds it, it dies right there.
I second the motion. Second?
Okay. Board discussion. Guys, board discussion. Is there any more discussion? You guys, bear with us, please. Ruben.
Fine, what Mr. Scott showed you and all that, very valid and legitimate. But Mr. Scott Johnson is not an honest person. When he was sitting here as a recorder, I reported to him that Mr. Jose Aguilar had passed out a, what are those things that you sign with? A petition to sign it. Those were the days when we were signing, everybody signing in the list. And he passed a petition making us all believe that we were signing a sign-in sheet. And I brought it to his attention, and I asked him to rescind that and let them know. What he did, Mr. Johnson, from that day on, we had computerized, like we did today, who's here and who's not here from that day on, and he didn't do anything about it, so those two gentlemen are not honest people. Please, board, take that in consideration, and any more nominations on whatever said, that's why we need to speak. I'm not making it up, they're right there in front of me. And they know it's the truth. They're not honest people. Those two gentlemen, I respect them for what they do in the community, but you gotta be honest. They're not honest.
Thank you. Anybody else? Dama? No comment?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. No.
Go ahead.
So I would agree with Ruben as of now, just because someone shows up to a neighborhood council meeting does not mean that they are working in the best interest of the community as a whole. And so what I've seen time and time again is individuals come up to the board, individuals who are running right now, and belittle the board, belittle the constituents here. Incident after incident has occurred, and right now I don't feel comfortable with Mr. Scott Johnson being on the board because of these incidents and because of his attitude and his professional and work ethic. He's attacked people's employment, he's brought unnecessary comments, and that's as far as I know just from being at these meetings, let alone any other incidents that have impacted any of the other board members.
Okay, so, I'm gonna go ahead and speak on this issue as well, and I don't mean to be mean, I'm gonna do this in the most professional manner as possible, but I think that there's definitely been a lack of tact on Mr. Johnson's part. I understand that there is a freedom of speech. I understand that there's also a point where you need to be honest, but I do believe that there's a point where you need to be tactful. And I have not seen that, and I was really shocked when the discussion of someone's employment with a board member came up. I found that very offensive. I've also seen attacks put towards people's children, and to not say that that's okay, I think is a real issue. For you to be okay with attacking someone's kids, I'm sorry, but that's just something that I simply can't stand for. I don't doubt that you do have a lot of passion for this community, but it really concerns me that if you do come onto this board and you will be working with constituents, if you will be able to be tactful and to also approach them kindly if they do have any questions that you might think are common sense. There's no reason for you to be aggressive towards us. We're all here, and I'm always willing to listen to any concerns that anyone has. And I just feel like the approach that's been had has not been the best. So,
Thank you, Sasha. Carisha, anything? No. That's all for the board?
Where's public comment?
Public comment?
Public comment?
I have a card there.
I don't see no cards, so I'm just.
Yeah, please, just raise your hand, and you guys don't have to come to the podium, we really need to save some time here, so.
Okay.
Who raised their hand? Jose, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to, as far as character assassination, it goes both ways. Now, I'm gonna be very blunt. I work as an armed security officer. I've never been charged with a misdemeanor or a crime. And if I was charged with a misdemeanor or a crime, I wouldn't be able to work as an armed security officer. So, the fact is, I have board members specifically, accusing me of being some kind of soda. And this was repeatedly said over and over again in meetings. I don't like to bring that up, but you know what? I let it go because everybody's entitled to their opinion. Okay, and and I can't control, slander. It's like let them say it, but as far as Scott Johnson goes, what he does under his First Amendment, right as a blogger is his opinion. He's entitled to it. It's part of the First Amendment. I've basically been involved in some issues with the newspaper, The Voice, attacking the councilman over some pedophiles in our neighborhood. And there was some indirect innuendos that he, didn't do nothing about it for like 4 months.
That's time.
So, I mean, that's
time.
That's an opinion, and people
It's time, I
get out
need,
to
you guys, when
It's
it's
a
time,
First
you need to
Amendment right.
stop, please, thank you, and we are down to 1 minute
That's
for
First
the comment. Mr. Pacheco.
If you're only going to get people that agree with you, you're not going to represent us. Because the people voted, and they did vote for Scott Johnson next. How you trump the community makes no sense. Just because he may not agree with you, you may not agree with his political stance, There's some very wild accusations that I heard in here, right? But again, democracy depends on people having different opinions. It also is about justice. When a board member challenges a stakeholder, that is not right. And that board member should be reprimanded. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. McGuire?
Well, let's not forget that Mr. Johnson received 68 votes. Okay, it's quite a few votes. You lost that position, you did receive 68 votes. Let's take that into consideration. There's a lot of unsubstantiated comments that have been made here against Mr. Johnson, and they are unsubstantiated. I agree wholeheartedly with Sasha's opinion about attacking especially children. Mr. Johnson's gone on his way in his postings not to do that. And if I think what we're referring to is a post with a board member, maybe with the children, I'm not sure if that's where you're going at. There was no attack there, and that was